Good evening. Welcome to the Plan Commission on tonight, Tuesday, September 23rd. Shall we do a roll call first? Okay. Jan Brock?
Present, sorry.
It's all right. Tom?
Tom Smith, present.
Jim Banash, present.
And Jared Holter here.
Eric Archer, I'm the vice chair. I'm present as well. We have a quorum. So let's consider the action on the minutes from the previous meeting. I'd entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the previous meeting.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes from the August 26th meeting.
Second.
A motion from Tom, a second from Jim. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion carries. We'll move to public input. We'll limit input to 3 minutes per individual. We'll start first with those that are in support and then those that are in opposition. So the first item is agenda 4, a public hearing for a rezoning application to rezone a parcel of land from low medium density residential R2 district to medium density residential R3 district. Yes, ma'am.
The 3 calls for public input related to any item on the agenda.
Yes, thank you so much. Teamwork makes the dream work. So at this time, please, we'll allow 3 minutes for input on any item. First, we'll take input on items for or in support.
Just any item.
Any item at all. 3 minutes. Please come forward, just state your name and where you live, and you have 3 minutes to comment. Thank you, Katie. Yes, sir.
3 calls.
Good evening. My name is Dean Zimmer. I live at 1014 Green Bay Street. And thank you for allowing us to be here. When 11th Avenue South and Fairfield Street were developed in the 60s, the city did not require pedestrian accommodation in the area. That was in the 60s. We now have a comprehensive plan that looks at the past, the present, and to the future, 15 years and beyond. Our comprehensive 2040 plan includes details, facts, and important elements. One element identifies properties in the city for possible development in the future. But if we only look at the property and don't consider things such as the effect on the neighborhood, safety of the residents, and the infrastructure from the 60s, there is a significant omission in the process. By definition, it would no longer be comprehensive. I oppose granting the request to change the zoning at 1030 Fairfield from R2 to R3. We do not have a safe passage in place along Fairfield to 12th Avenue South for the pedestrians. I hope the Planning Commission would agree we don't want pedestrians in the street, and our goal should be to never have them in the street. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, sir. Sorry?
Any issue?
Yes, correct.
Okay. All right, Robert Conzemius, N5417 Holly Drive, Town of Unalaska. Speaking on item number 5, public hearing for annexation. My wife and I, the red over here, we own lots 38 and 39 in that subdivision. The closure of that street, the proposed closure of that street to add another lot to keep that from going through was concerning to us, although Terry Whelan did come up to us and say that it is possible that we could have the leads for those 2 lots brought forward, even though the street did not go through. It's our concern that even though we're not presently in a position to develop those 2 lots, that we don't want to end up at sometime 5 or 10 years down the road from now, unable to develop those 2 lots because the leads were not brought forward. That would strand those 2 lots and totally invalidate them, basically. So it's our concern that the legitimacy of those two lots for the future would be maintained, that the leads would be brought forward for services such as sewer, water, gas and electric, cable and whatever it is. That somehow that that those are brought forward so that those two lots could be serviced in the future. We don't oppose the project or even the closing of the street unless those two lots are stranded. By closing the street, there is no on Alaska Street access to those lots. You have to get to those two lots from the township. So that is snow plowing issues, fire and safety issues and all of that. So we also own the lot and live in the lot that's just to the north of those two lots. And we're wondering if at some time in the future, if annexation is available to us, whether those leads could be brought forward to our house. So there's a lot there. Hope I'm not over the 3 minutes, but the issue of our two lots is kind of critical to our accepting of the project the way it's going forward.
Sir.
So please be considerate of those needs. We were wondering if we could get
The 3 minutes has elapsed.
a commitment, a written commitment from the city of Onalaska
So Bob,
for future development of those two lots.
those 3 minutes have elapsed on that issue. The 3
Okay.
minutes have elapsed for the public comment section here. When that item comes up on the agenda again, there'll be another opportunity to speak, but your 3 minutes have elapsed right now.
Okay.
Thank you. Second call for public input. Third call for public input. Seeing none, I close public input and move to agenda item 4, which is the public hearing for a rezoning application to rezone a parcel of land from low, medium density residential R2 district to medium density residential R3 district to accommodate a new multifamily row house development located at 1030 Fairfield Street, which is tax parcel 18-1042-10. I will turn this over to the city planner, Katie Aspenson, for comment.
Thank you. The comprehensive plan identifies this particular parcel with the multifamily land use category. It notes that this land use category is to allow for large-scale multifamily developments to add to the city's housing supply and add a variety of housing options. The parcel in question is vacant and is approximately 1.68 acres in area with access to the site from Fairfield Street as a dead-end street. The developer is requesting to rezone the property from low, medium density residential R2 to medium density residential R3 to accommodate a future multifamily row house development. The R3 district allows a maximum of 8 dwelling units per parcel, and the applicant is proposing to subdivide the existing parcel into 2 lots to allow for a total of 16 dwelling units. Included in the packet is a conceptual site plan showing the location and count of row houses, a new cul-de-sac, a private drive that would serve the development, and a fire department turnaround. Also included in the letter, in the application is a cover letter from the applicants stating the changes and commitments they have made since the April Plan Commission meeting. The concept plan proposed does not completely conform to the UDC, the zoning ordinance, and it is expected the developer will apply for a planned unit development to request deviations from the UDC if the rezoning is successful. A PUD would also require another public hearing, and all of the people within 250 feet would again be noticed if the application was successful. The requested zoning is in conformance with the Livana 2040 comprehensive plan. As a public hearing will be held, testimony from the public should be considered before deciding on the requested application. City staff have put 6 conditions of approval together for this development. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. At this point, I'll open the conversation for people that would like to speak in support of the application, and please limit your time to 3 minutes. Again, this is people in support of the application with a limit of 3 minutes. Sir, please state your name and where you live.
Jacob Mooney, 1231 East Ave North, Onalaska, Wisconsin. This is your neighborhood. I know big changes can raise question. My goal tonight is simple: be transparent about what we're building, address concerns directly, and show how this project can fit in and strengthen the neighborhood. We're not a big out-of-town developer. We're local individuals investing in the community. After listening to feedback from both the Plan Commission and nearby residences regarding the original 28 townhome proposal, I made significant changes to ensure the project better fits the neighborhood. The revised plan includes 2 8-unit buildings, 16 unit totals instead of 28, reducing the scale by nearly half. Improved setbacks and green space. Rear yard setbacks are much deeper, and the design provides more open space for residences to keep them off the streets. Reduce traffic impact. With fewer homes, there will be fewer cars, easing concerns about traffic on Fairfield and surrounding streets. Also, there have been multiple incidents where I've been on the lot and harders picking up trash or delivery drivers going to those 2 duplexes right next door. They go all the way to the end and then they got to back around the park to get out of there. Our cul-de-sac will eliminate that unsafe practice next to the park. Parking. Our design right there, we got 2.5 parking stalls per unit between surface parking and garages, which is 40, exceeding the code requirement of 1.5 stalls per unit, which is 24. Project quality and appearance, Class A construction. These are going to be higher end townhomes, stone base around the bottom, beautiful finishes, fire suppression in the buildings. We're going to run a fire hydrant back to the end of the lot too. Security cameras. We're going to put a fence all the way around the lot to ensure privacy for the current dwellings. It's going to be professionally landscaped. We're going to use dark sky lighting so everyone will still be able to see the stars from their back decks. We're not going to light it up like a Walmart. We're also exploring working with an architect with townhouse options that maybe we can build into the natural slopes there so we don't have to use retaining walls like on the conceptual site plan. And we can probably use full rear yard setbacks with that too. Management and tenants is going to be professionally managed with strict background credit employment checks like we do with all our apartments. Long-term tenants in mind. We don't do short-term. We will sit on open units before renting to unsafe individuals or unqualified. We do management, maintenance in-house. Fixes are done within 24 hours of receiving maintenance requests. The tenants for these townhomes most likely would be plenty qualified to buy a house in that neighborhood, but would rather not due to don't want to do yard work, snow removal, or they can't find what they're looking for, especially in this close of proximity to
We have about
schools.
20 seconds left.
Yep. I got a clock here. Community benefits, meet local housing demand, support Live on a 2040 and your strategic plan, which had a lot of stuff about your city employees wanting push for development, fill an underutilized infill lot, increase tax base. We have the chance to do something beautiful here, not just fill an empty lot, but create homes close to high schools that add value, bring new energy, and stand as a long-term asset for Onalaska. I believe this project can be something the neighborhood is proud of, and I'm committed to making sure that's the outcome.
All right,
Thank you.
Your time's elapsed. Would anyone else like to speak in favor of the rezoning application? So please state your name, where you live, and you have a 3-minute limit.
Hi, I'm Neil Pfaff with Veerbecker Associates, live at S2037 Park Lane, Reedsburg, Wisconsin. The reason that this was brought to the attention, because it was part of the comprehensive plan. I think why that was identified in the comprehensive plan, because it's an infill development and it makes sense with the community planning. Obviously, the planners thought about this lot particularly. What makes sense here? In the comprehensive plan, it actually would allow, the thought was a little higher density. I think the applicant, the owner, the developer, heard at the last plan commission that this was presented at and took that back and said, okay, we can reduce the density. We can still make this work. We want to make this community better. We want to understand what the community needs. They need housing, correct? That's, and understanding the density is going from R2 to R3 rather than a high density. What else is going to happen with this lot if this is not rezoned to R3? A single family residence? You're not going to see a cul-de-sac at the end of this. A gentleman spoke about pedestrian safety, pedestrian traffic. That's an engineering problem that can be fixed. If pedestrian traffic needs to take place, a sidewalk can be placed along this corridor to allow access so people don't have to walk into the street. The goal of this applicant is to present a very good community. 16 units, it's not high density. Any traffic analysis would prove that the infrastructure can support this. In addition, this is a good tax base. Otherwise, this would be an infill that's going to sit vacant for multiple years to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak in favor of the rezone application? Second call? Third call? Okay, would anyone like to speak in opposition to the rezoning application? Please state your name. Yes, ma'am.
And not limited to 3 minutes, excuse me.
I'm sorry?
They're not limited to 3 minutes during a public hearing.
Yeah, thank you. Please state your name and where you live.
Hello, my name is Marcia Shagru. I live at 1050 Green Bay Street. And I've lived on that street for close to 20 years now. We've actually got the house from the same people who currently own the parcel in question. So that parcel has already been vacant for 20 plus years. One of the reasons we fell in love with Green Bay Street and this neighborhood, I was 8 months pregnant with twins at the time. So we walked in, and out of all the houses we looked at, we fell in love with the neighborhood, knowing our future children would be growing up there in the beautiful, quiet neighborhood, having lots of trees. It was just the right amount of, we were still close to everything and yet still had that really quiet, family-oriented neighborhood that we were looking for. And a lot of the things that we said in April are still true today in opposition to this plan. I am happy that they listened and have made attempts to address our concerns, but the bottom line is 16 is still way too many. It's too many additional cars. There's no sidewalks. I work from home and my window overlooks the street. There's literally like a dozen families that either are pushing strollers or taking their dogs on walks on that street. We grew up, my kids are in the same class as some of the kids that are in the duplexes are actually on Fairfield Street. The existing housing there actually would make a lot more sense. Maybe 4 to 6 units, maybe, not this many. Because this many units, if 2 people are living in it, that's twice as many cars. It's just one little street to go in and out of. We're trying to see what makes sense. That does not make sense for our neighborhood and that space. It's a small, quiet neighborhood, and we want it to stay that way. We're not opposed to having it developed. We're not opposed to having more neighbors. But having 16 to 32 new neighbors in that small of a spot is not what all of us homeowners and property owners in that neighborhood want and look forward to when we purchase those areas in that neighborhood. It's, there's this little city park down at the end. Again, no sidewalk. Sure, maybe we can put them in, but it's still just too dense. We want that area to stay consistent with all the plots around it. Single family homes or homes that, maybe duplex homes, but not that many. I don't understand I do understand trying to put profit above the community. And that just irks me no end. I am, I don't want to lose our quiet neighborhood. So I'm sure a lot of other people will have a lot of other great lists of things to say, but for me, it boils down to community quietness, keeping it consistent with the other types of properties that are around it, not trying to wedge in all these extra people in a small space. It just doesn't make sense.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Please state your name and where you live.
Good evening. My name is David Olson. I live at 1020 Green Bay Street. I'm here to voice my opposition on changing the zoning of that parcel 1030 Fairfield from R2 district to an R3 density district. I agree with a lot of the concerns that we had back in April. This proposal is still going to increase the number of cars substantially on several of our neighborhood streets. Currently, there's about 15 homes or families that live on Fairfield already. Now you're asking them to put 16 more homes on that area. That's going to increase that traffic exponentially. As you're aware, we don't have sidewalks. So there are people walking there. They're walking their dogs, people with strollers, people with pets, always there. I was able, fortunately, to witness at least 3 families that got a chance to train their kids on riding a bike on Green Bay Street this week. That's not going to happen if you add 16 more housing units with 2 to 4 cars around there. We currently have issues with motorists traveling the street with excessive speed. The addition of a multi-unit housing would exacerbate that problem. I am also concerned that this proposal does not fit the aesthetics of our single-family home community. These are just some of the reasons that I am asking the members of the commission to deny this rezoning request. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Olson.
You're not supposed to be clapping after it.
Okay. I would ask those assembled to please refrain from clapping just for the decorum of the meeting. Thank you.
My name is Tiffany Johnson. I live at 1057 Fairfield Street. So, as stated previously, the only way in and out of this parcel of land is going to be on Fairfield. If we are potentially looking at adding 16 units and there's 1 car per unit, that is 16 additional cars going in and out on that one street. Yes, there will be a turnaround, great. I don't know that that is going to make a great deal of difference as far as the garbage truck goes with 16 additional cars. It's not going to make a great deal of difference with the delivery trucks that are there on a daily basis because there are people living on that street currently. That will increase the traffic exponentially. As stated previously by my across the street neighbor, where are all of these construction vehicles going to park? Where are the people going to park when they go there to do the construction? They're going to park on Fairfield Street. He and I will never get out of our houses during this construction unless that is also taken into consideration when this development is occurring. And then again, Green Bay is smaller overall. The street, I think, got widened a little bit recently in the last couple of years, but there's not a whole lot of room. This isn't a plea for sidewalks. I'm not asking for a sidewalk. Please don't put it in front of it. But I have a 5-month-old puppy that I walk twice a day because I have to, but I'm that whole route. I know a lot of these people from April, by the way. And we say hi and we're getting to know each other even better because of that community, because of that ability to say, we need these streets to be safe. Having that increased traffic with the park playground right there, it is already something that can be concerning. Having vehicles that are turning down 12th or turning off of 12th, excuse me, to go through that neighborhood because the high school is right there. And that is really convenient. But when the high school is getting out or in the mornings and people are trying to drop off, that neighborhood is now very busy because they're trying to avoid that intersection at 12th and Wilson. So people are going to cut through the neighborhood instead of trying to get out on 12th in the morning. And I already know that happens. So that's going to make that even more difficult to get out of the neighborhood or cutting through the neighborhood. And people, unfortunately, if they're not paying attention, they're going to go too fast. We already know this. Put up 25, you can put those flashing lights. We already know that that's not going to make a whole lot of difference if people don't want to go that speed. So I would really request that, again, the lots stay in current R2 in what is already in the neighborhood as far as single or duplex homes. and that we can try and get to know people in that capacity as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. No, please, let's refrain from clapping just for the decorum of the meeting tonight, please. Is there anybody else that would like to speak in opposition of the rezoning application? Thank you, sir. Please state your name and where you live.
Keith Crone, 1001 Green Bay Street.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, committee members, attendees, and fellow neighbors. I stand here not as an individual homeowner, only as an individual homeowner, but also as a neighbor and a friend concerned about maintaining the collective integrity and the livability of our neighborhood. It was about 5 months ago, we went through the same exercise. After carefully listening to 27 neighborhood residents speak their concerns, the planning committee voted unanimously to recommend the common council deny this rezoning request. So what's changed since then? The developers come in with a new plan. And in any other location, I think it's a great plan. I couldn't find any issues with it other than the location of this particular development. It looks good on paper, but we're not a paper neighborhood. We are a neighborhood of single, dual-family homes. We're an established, mature neighborhood. We're a mix of families, children, retirees, elderly, singles, young couples. So I feel any proposed development should seamlessly blend in with our current community. So let's look at this proposal a little closer. To meet the R3 zoning requirements for up to 8 units, the parcel must be split. Originally, it was one parcel going for an R4 zoning up to 28 units. So I think it's a little bit of a shell game. We split the parcel. We're allowed to put 2 8-unit complexes within those 2 parcels. And hence we get 16 units, which I would consider a high-density development. The same concept that was denied by the Common Council in May of this year. The developer cites the Live on a 2040 comprehensive plan, which calls for an expansion of R3 zoning districts. Goal 1 states to expand housing opportunities and provide alternatives to single-family detached homes. Strategy 1 under this goal states expand the R3 zoning to areas connected to walkable amenities. Goal 2 states an increase in mixed-use housing options close to downtown to include R3 developments. But it also states expansion along 3rd and 4th Avenues close to the central business district, waterfront, and recreational pathways. The proposed development would not be considered by most to be within walking distance of these amenities, nor is it close to the downtown area. Upon review of our Onalaska neighborhoods, I couldn't find any other similar R3 8-unit development situated in the middle of an established neighborhood, zoned R2. A recent similar landlocked parcel developed off of L. Hauser Street and Oak Avenue was approved and developed as single-family homes. How is our neighborhood any different? So what hasn't changed since then? The concerns expressed by the 27 people that spoke at the April 22nd meeting, all 22 pages of comments. Mainly concerns about increased traffic surrounding the development, the proximity of the project to the neighborhood park, and the overall change to the integrity and the livability of our neighborhood due to the high density development. I ask a simple question of all those in attendance tonight. If this were your neighborhood, would you want this 16-unit high density development, 2-story row houses, replacing mature oaks, green space with 6-foot retaining walls, asphalt parking lots, retention ponds placed in the middle of your community? If this 16-unit proposal was submitted in April, would the Planning Committee recommended approving given public input then? Once again, I respectfully ask the Planning Committee to consider the input from my friends and neighbors and deny the request to rezone from R2 to R3.
Thank you, Mr. Crone.
In addition, I request the developer to come back with a development plan more conducive to the atmosphere of a mature established neighborhood in the long-range plan of the city of Onalaska. I think a great opportunity would be for 4 or 5 duplexes in that area, which would be very conducive to what we already have in our neighborhood. Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight.
Would anyone else like to speak in opposition of the rezoning application? Good evening. Please state your name and where you live.
Tabitha Ruley, 1010 Green Bay Street. Thank you for hearing public input. Are you able to hear me better now? As a homeowner, excuse me. As a homeowner of an adjacent parcel for over 20 years, I very much appreciate the existing quiet neighborhood reflective of the assets detailed in the comprehensive plan and look to those responsible here to preserve those assets. We realize it's developable land, but would like it to reflect the surrounding adjacent properties remaining R2. Here are some quotes from the comprehensive plan to consider in relation to this application. Rezoning to R3 could negatively impact or go against these. The community survey was that there was interest in seeing continued development of single-family and two-family homes in the community, as well as senior housing. Under holistic regional growth, it stated, a key challenge for Onalaska is ensuring it doesn't lose its character. The friendly, close-knit community feel that residents value highly. The vision statement says that above all, the city maintains its small town feel and high quality of life that make it a community of choice. Pillar 1 for community is summarized with Onalaska's sense of community and small town feel are essential parts of the city's character. This pillar identifies key elements that contribute to the sense of community and provides a path to grow and maintain them. It talks about neighborhoods and housing. Goal 1 is to support new housing opportunities that provide alternatives to single-family detached residential units. It states that R2 allows 2-unit twindos and duplex housing options. R3 was also included, but qualified at a scale desired by the community. Goal 2, to increase mixed use and multifamily housing options in and close to downtown, is what was targeted for R3, with strategy 1 rezoning neighborhoods along 3rd and 4th Avenues east of downtown. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, ma'am. Would anyone else like to speak in opposition to the rezoning application? Good evening. Please state your name and where you live.
Tammy Secor, 605 11th Avenue South, Onalaska. Again, the traffic flow is going to be ridiculous. It's already ridiculous. I live on 11th Avenue South, as I just said, and no one on 11th Avenue South was even informed about this. It's going to react to us as well, because people aren't going to always want to go up to Fairfield and DePaul to get on left or right. The traffic's bad there in the morning. So they're going to zip down 11th Avenue South, which no one was informed of this meeting. So again, we're back to the traffic flow. 16 units times 2 could possibly be 32 vehicles. Our neighborhood can't withstand that many more vehicles. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak in opposition to the rezoning application? Good evening.
Thank you for the opportunity. My name's Betty Bertrang. I live at 1000 Green Bay Street in Onalaska, Wisconsin, and I love it. I've lived here longer than I lived anywhere in my life. We moved here in 1991, and I've been a realtor, don't hold it against me, for 18 years in Onalaska. What we really need is single-level duplexes. That would be great to put in that spot. I don't know how many would fit, but there's a real shortage for people my age and older to get twin homes that are, duplexes that are one level, owned on each side and accessible. The one level living concept. It's a great location for people in Onalaska, like people have said, we have all ages and all socioeconomic people in our neighborhood. It's very diverse. It's wonderful. It's quiet, big trees, one of the older neighborhoods. And that's why we loved it too. We have about 150 linear feet that shared with the lot that Charlie used to own. And it's been wonderful. They've kept it nice. Bill's worked really hard to keep it nice. His dad worked hard to keep it nice. It's like a park without the use of a park. It's been great. We knew it was going to be developed. But we tried to talk to him years ago about maybe duplexes in there, you know, because they're really needed. But not so much multiple, not dense like that. That will be at least double the 16 cars, and that's not including people visiting, right? And delivering Amazon packages and all the other stuff. So and then you're talking how many pets and noise of people listening, whatever, it's music, cars coming and going. Everybody who's talked about the woman who talked about 11th Avenue South, we do have a lot of cut through traffic from the high school and from the different neighborhoods. If you come and look at it, if you haven't come to look at the parcel, please do, because it's just tucked in between houses. It's not, it doesn't have a big street, right? It's dead end. It's not a very big piece. And it's really, that's a lot of density for that size. Not to mention elevation. It's kind of a swale in there, kind of a dip. Worried about runoff onto properties around it, but mainly the density. So I repeat, what's needed is single family homes for rent or for owning by people that are more retirement age and younger people and people who need that accessibility, not more vertical and dense. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak in opposition to the rezoning application?
I would, please.
If you could go ahead and state your name and address, please.
My name is Mackenzie Richardson, and I live at 1063 Fairfield Street.
Okay, go ahead.
I would like to thank everyone for letting the area talk. I was just informed of this meeting last night by a neighbor, and I agree with what everyone else has said, that the traffic is the main thing for me. We live right next to the park. I have a 2-year-old autistic son who loves to run. So what worries me is that increased traffic for those 16 units going by, because it's the one way. It makes me very concerned for my son's safety. We also have a 1-year-old daughter who we like to go to the park very frequently, and they like to run around. And if you guys know, kids are quick and fast and they're unpredictable. So we've had great neighbors who know us, and they know Rowan, my son, that he likes to run. But we just are really not for this zoning right now. It's not safe, especially for my son. I just wanted to thank you guys for listening to me talk.
Thank you, Ms. Richardson. Would anyone else like to comment in opposition to the rezoning application? Good evening. Please state your name and where you live.
My name is Becky Wintershaller. I live at N5435 Holly Drive. When I moved into the neighborhood, it was quiet and it was pretty. It was like nature. And then we got the big utility poles. And then we got the annex for the water for a quick trip through Abbey Road. So I am asking you to deny this proposal, to keep our neighborhood community and nature in place. We don't need more. We need to maintain and let nature be there. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Would anyone else like to speak in opposition of the rezoning application? Good evening. Please state your name and where you live.
Mary Crone, 101 1001 Green Bay Street. I've also lived in the neighborhood for a long time. I just would really like the opportunity to say to the council, this could be done. You could vote for this, but should you vote for this? Our neighborhood is well established, as everyone has said, and we want to keep it and preserve it the way it should be and has been. One thing I'd like to ask is if I could just get a show of hands of how many from our neighborhood are present at this meeting. We care about what's going on. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cron. Would anyone else like to speak in opposition to the rezoning application? Good evening. Please state your name and where you live.
My name is Addie Peckham. I live at 1041 Green Bay.
That one
Sorry,
there.
this one, sorry. My name is Addie Peckham. I live at 1041 Green Bay Street. I'm one of the newer residents to this neighborhood. The reason we moved to this neighborhood is because it has that small town feel that Onalaska is supposed to be known for. This area is surrounded by single family units. There's duplexes. It's a very nice neighborhood. And the more we live there, the more we get to know our neighbors. There's so many kids that bike, and we continue to meet new people. Everyone's so friendly, and we love the park down by where this would be affected. It's not fenced. There's a lot of kids that run around. I'm concerned about the traffic with all these increased cars. We have 3 kids. We have another one on the way. There's a lot of kids in this neighborhood. So please consider the kids in this neighborhood. And this unit is surrounded by single family homes and it's on a dead end street. This affects a lot of people. This is a big change for our neighborhood. And I'm opposed to the rezoning of this unit just for everyone in this community in our neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Peckham. Is there anyone else that would like to comment in opposition to the rezoning application? Second call.
Robert Shagru, 1050 Green Bay. Just looking at the concept design itself is basically the most damning thing of the whole idea. As you look at the bottom edge of that picture, you see maybe 6 lots, each with a single family home. Right next to it, you have a single lot with a 2-family home. All of what's in the proposed development does not reflect any of what we see of the rest of the neighborhood. If that parcel got separated into 5 or 6 separate lots, each with a single family home, that would make so much sense. But having so many small components with so many people in that small space does not. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Would anyone else like to speak in opposition to the rezoning application? Second call. And third call. Seeing none, I close the section for public input and ask what is the pleasure of the board?
My name is Jim Benash. I'm with the First District. You had brought up L. Hauser. That was started before I got on the.
We need a motion first, then we'll do discussion after.
Okay.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we deny the R2 to R3 multifamily density as requested. We deny it.
Motion by Tom to deny. Do I have a second?
I'll second for discussion.
Okay, I open the conversation for discussion.
All right. It was brought up about L. Hauser Road, which happens to be in my district. As you will note, it had to be changed in order to accommodate the houses that were built there so that the lots would be smaller. So there really isn't much of a backyard in those homes, and the people that lived in the area aren't really appreciative of the way that it's been developed. But nonetheless, it's similar to what you're talking about here on Fairfield, in that there's only one in-way, egress and ingress. And the people that lived in that area that the road is now going through, I probably didn't expect to have that really happen over there, but nonetheless, there are houses being built there. Here, when you're planning on putting row houses, it works on Main Street. What's going on over there? Last time we talked about row houses, there have been more built there. I was more worried about the aesthetics and how you're going to do that into the sides of the hill. I like what the developer is trying to do, and the city is not trying to discourage developers. But does it really fit? And then the other part is we have a comprehensive plan, but that doesn't really qualify for this area. And the comprehensive plan is a plan. It allows for changing from R2 to R3 to R4, depending upon what's going to go in there. I have gone out to the area. I have seen it. I know what it's like. I understand you could maybe have up to 32 cars there. The buildings themselves, are they going to be sold individually? Are they going to be rented? What's the target group? Are there going to be HOA fees? I mean, I'm not really sure what that's all about. But still, in my opinion, it doesn't really fit the area. I do like what the developer is trying to do. They're really trying to accommodate the city. They are right. The city is trying to develop areas you need it for your tax levy. The city has to grow. But are row houses the right thing for this area? It doesn't appear so.
Thank you, Alderman Benach. Tom?
Yes, the reason why I do not support this is the neighborhood. I mean, you heard all the input today. We talked about the importance. I used to live on 12th and Fairfield, not far from there for many years. So I was very familiar with how it has changed over the last 20 years. And it's gotten very heavy traffic off of 12th. If there's only one in and one out, it's just kind of confusing. It's a small community feeling. And I think one of the things we sell on Alaska about is the importance of that small family feeling. And I think this is a typical example of a neighborhood that has grown and been successful and feel good about their community. And I think that we need to keep it this way. I think I appreciate what the developer has done, because when we were here in April, it was even, it was just too much. And he came back with an option, which was appreciative, because I think the city does want to get more tax base and support the growth by developers. But I don't think this is a good fit. It just doesn't fit. It's if I lived there, somebody asked that question, I would not want it. If it was my home, I would not want it. And I just think that hopefully a developer can come back with a good option that would blend better into the neighborhood. So that's my thought.
Thank you, Tom. Jen?
I've got a couple questions. I wasn't at the April meeting, so I missed all of that. But I wanted to go on something that Jim said about access. It only has one way in and one way out. Jared, would there be any way to get access to Wilson Street, which would also allow the fire department to come in from either way?
Oh, the parcel is currently landlocked, so there's no way unless they bought out one of the homes along there to get access out. So, what you see today is what's been left with all the development that's occurred around it.
Secondly, along with that, that's a private drive.
The concept the developer has shown is putting in the public right of way for the cul-de-sac bulb and a private drive to serve the two units, the two buildings.
What has our experience been with those? Good or not so good?
Well, I mean, we have them a variety of locations around the city. A lot of the newer private developments you see for the apartment buildings that are going up, a lot of them have multiple units with buildings with private drives going around them, not a public street. With this parcel, part of the uniqueness of it is there's not enough width to facilitate a public right of way, a public street, and split off single family homes like they did on Fairfield, L Hauser Road extension. Just the width there doesn't facilitate that. So with that, then you would look at, if you extend the city street along the rear of those homes and put single family lots in there, you're just not going to get the density with the single family homes in the public street, with the fact that you're going to have double frontage lots. And the double frontage lot is a killer, even with for the city to maintain that over time is not going to be, once we got to eventually repave the street, we got to eventually do all those things. So when I look at this, I look at the developers come back, I originally looked at the 28 units, and you could have physically engineered it and got it to work. I think the 16 units that you're seeing today, fit the site, fit what is being proposed. If you look at the duplexes, the two duplexes that are on the end of Fairfield Street currently on the south side of the road, at that density, you basically, if you took those and put those down on this area, you'd have about 12 units if you put duplexes down, but we don't have any street frontage. So once again, the street frontage is where this comes into an effect that you can't facilitate putting single family homes or duplexes on there. You need, as has been stated, the road frontage. It doesn't lay out for anything besides that. So, I mean, it's still over what probably if you laid out a city street and put down our typical duplex zoning minimum lot standards, you'd be fairly close to what you have with 1.6 acres for those units. It'd be 12 to 14 units, and the developer's proposing 16. So it is in the neighborhood of a reality with that area, but I also understand the Plan Commission concerns with the neighborhood and what is existing around it, being it's all single family. I do, as I stated at the April meeting, the road system that is in that area, we have direct access to 12th Avenue. It's a collector street within our city. There will be people that will cut through the neighborhood, but the majority of traffic will go out to 12th Avenue, and that is meant for that area as a collector street. 16 units, approximately 9 trips per day. So that's 150 trips per day going in and out of that neighborhood. But we have cul-de-sacs and areas in the city where we've developed that have almost this number of units with single family homes on one way in, one way out. So I think from when I stated this in April too, if we really are worried about pedestrians around the park, the city should put in a sidewalk for all users, not just users of this development. The neighborhood should have a sidewalk. We would facilitate that. I truly believe any pedestrians, if we can get them out of the street, is where they should be. Whether it's a child, it's an adult, it's anyone that's in a walking environment. So I think from an engineering standpoint, traffic standpoint, from my view, we got more area for stormwater with the new plan. I see that the location in the north east corner was kind of an area that had larger trees that they're still showing the wall, but I think with what they've got, they can facilitate some grading and leave some of that area the way it is. But I understand this would be a major difference to the neighborhood itself.
I'm always the one that's not in favor of speculative zoning, so I'm concerned about this. If we were to rezone this R3 exactly, and say he did not subdivide it into 2 parcels, I just want to make sure I've got it. How many units could be put on that particular property?
Maximum of 8 units, if not subdivided.
Maximum of 8.
The R3 district does not allow you to have more than 8 units per parcel. So it's meant to serve as a middle housing. So we don't have a lot of row housing in Onalaska. It's starting to become more popular. As stated by the development, not everybody wants to mow or shovel sidewalks, and they want someone else to care for the maintenance. So having row housing is becoming more popular. The intention of this district is meant to blend into existing neighborhoods. The city put forth design requirements that were reviewed by the Plan Commission and Common Council specific to how many windows that they have to have, how many, like the type of roof that is needed, the type of facade that is needed, so that you don't have large rectangular blocks being into established neighborhood. The intent is that they're supposed to blend into the neighborhood. So in this instance, the developer is looking at doing 2 stories, which is outright permitted. The only deviation as of right now that we can see based on the conceptual plan is that all dwellings are supposed to be within 60 feet of a right-of-way on a cul-de-sac. So the northern property, the northern 8 row houses would be in excess of that 60 foot. But other than that, we have not seen more detailed plans because they obviously want to know if it's going to be approved before they continue to get more details out. But that is, as of right now, the primary deviation that they would be requesting is to put the building back further than what the code would allow. But other than that, they would have to request the Plan Commission again, and ultimately the Common Council, if there would be any additional changes. But as it stands now, it appears to be generally compliant outside of the setback issue. So.
Katie, one of the conversations from last time we met was centered on sidewalks, as Jared mentioned. How is that taken into account before the construction were to begin? Is it a prerequisite for the construction to begin? Is the intent to have that done before we begin, or is that altogether separate and would be considered later?
So installing sidewalks within the neighborhood, as was mentioned by some of the residents, there would be impacts to them. So if the city chose to put sidewalks in the neighborhood in certain locations, we would have to, current city policies, we assess those sidewalks back to the abutting property owners. So those sidewalks within the neighborhood would be assessed back. We'd have a public hearing on benefits and damages and be putting the sidewalk in. It would be even without this development, it would be great to have a sidewalk connection to the park, at least from 12th Avenue. At least if you're on 12th Avenue, you'd be able to get to the park without having to walk in the street. But these developments went in the 60s. The Raymond Brothers developed them, and at those times, these were not the houses along Green Bay Street necessarily, but the ones in further in on 11th Avenue that were meant in the 60s to be affordable homes. Those were built to be affordable homes, and they did those, and they did not, even in some of the construction techniques that are found in those neighborhoods, they're just, those homes are what they are, and they did not put in any of the sidewalks in those developments for the cost. And the city at the time was just developing in the early 60s, and we did not look at those things back in those periods. So ultimately, the sidewalk is if there are sidewalks in the neighborhood to serve this development, it would be almost separate from the development itself, if that makes sense.
What would generate that action? It's not a resident request. Is it a city effort if that were to be done?
We have a sidewalk map that we show certain corridors to be installed. One of the things that, as was pointed out in the comprehensive plan that has been brought about, is the sidewalk and pedestrian connections in our neighborhoods in general, just as a Plan Commission note, whether it's this development or not. In our capital improvements last year, we put in for a sidewalk pedestrian plan for the city to look at these neighborhoods, these locations that we have pedestrian access deserts. We just don't have any off-street facilities, and it was not funded. So it's in this year's plan again, and at some point we're hoping to facilitate a plan with the rest of the city that does not have sidewalks and look at where to put those and get a plan on installing them. I will say that sidewalks in my 30 years with the city are the hardest thing to put in of any project that we ever do. Typically, most of the neighborhoods, it's awesome we have people here tonight that want sidewalks, but once we have the public hearing, you'll have just as many that won't want them. They either won't want to shovel it, they won't want to pay for it, they don't have any kids, things like that. I think we should have sidewalks in all facilities, all streets in the city, at least some form of access, you know, some of the cul-de-sacs, some of the things like that with a few homes, we don't need it, but to have no access through the whole neighborhood is something that should be addressed, but
Thank you, Jared. Jim?
I do have a question for you, Jared, actually a couple. If this area gets developed, and we talked about El Hauser Road and how wide that entrance is to the new development there, would this road on Fairfield have to be expanded to accommodate the traffic flow? And if you did, would it take away from some of the residents' property in order to put in sidewalks?
so this street over here, I didn't look if it's, I'm pretty sure it's 60 foot of public right of way. There's a 37 foot back of curb to back curb street. That's our typical city street. We have that in 90% of the city, other than a few arterials and collectors that are a little wider. You know, Sand Lake Road is wider, Main Street's wider, some of those. But then even with some of the newer development like El Hauser, we approved the 13 lots with only a 32 foot wide street. It is part of the new, you know, we're trying to limit the environmental impacts and trying to limit those things with the street width. But from a traffic flow standpoint, the 37 foot wide street is from an engineering standpoint can facilitate the 150 cars that this development will produce.
And the other question I have is, if this were developed and there's concerns about pedestrian traffic, sidewalks would have to be on both sides, would they not? Otherwise, you'd have to cross the street to get to the sidewalk on the other side.
Depending on what, if I was looking at this area on a one access point going in, even new developments that have come in areas such as Grandview Estates out off of Crestwood Lane, we only put the sidewalk on one side. Some of the cul-de-sacs out in Greens Coulee, we only have sidewalk on one side. So if we have it on one side, it would be good. I don't know if we'd need it on both sides all the way back. We'd look at that as part of a sidewalk installation plan, but for sure you'd want in front of the park coming in off of 12th Avenue, probably on the, just looking at it right now off the top of the cuff here, probably on the north side of the road because it would be on the park side. So, but if we're going to put a sidewalk in it, it should be looked at the whole neighborhood too. So I do know the Green Bay Street, that area, we just redid the street a few years ago. That is an area that for some reason when the city allowed the street to go in a substandard right of way, so there's only 50 foot of right of way in there. So if you look at some of the property lines where they are in conjunction to the curb and gutter that was installed, that street is narrower than the 37 foot street, and it is in close proximity. Some of the yards are to the right of way. So it'd be tougher to put a sidewalk on Green Bay Street.
Thank you, Jared. Katie, the other issue I heard was fitment, and I want to circle back to what you said. There's 9, if I recall correctly, there's 9 standards that a developer has to meet in terms of design appropriateness, if I'm saying that the right way. Can you just confirm for me that the design as presented is in conformance with that? Or did I misunderstand earlier?
Are you referring to the conditions of approval?
No, I thought I heard you say that there were like the fitment in terms of like you mentioned the second story, 2 stories, and how the front was designed in terms of how it would fit into a neighborhood.
So the purpose of the R3 district. So there aren't necessarily standards. So I guess, is there a particular question about the R3?
Yeah, sorry.
You want
So-
answered, or
So what I took away from it, I think maybe mistaken, is that there's a vetting in terms of, with outside of the R2, R3. But if my concern as a resident is that these buildings are just not in keeping with the existing design or feel of the neighborhood, there isn't a mechanism that accounts for that then, right? In terms of making sure there's visual harmony or design harmony outside of the zoning.
Okay. All right. So the Plan Commission took a stance more focused on architecture.
Sure.
So that was where we talk about if all of the surrounding homes are a single story, then they could go up another story.
See,
And if they wanted to go up even beyond that, they would have to do a step back where the building would be further into it in order to allow some depth in the design. So it wouldn't just be a really tall vertical facade. But we talk about in terms of design requirements for facade articulation. So we want to see breaks in the facade from a horizontal standpoint, but then also from a vertical standpoint. So we want to make sure that they're using different elements. It could be recesses, it could be projections, things to break up the facade. So again, it doesn't go back to that standard box of that some people might assume that row housing could look at. We also look at facade transparency. So we have requirements for how much window has to occur on each side of the building. So the intent of this is that we're really trying to, again, make it so that it can blend in with the neighborhood from an architectural standpoint. We do have open space standards. So in this district, a minimum of 25% of the site overall has to be considered green space. We believe that has been met at this point. So just trying to, again, not letting them overwhelm the site with development, but have that opportunity to insert density where there's a lot of people that want to live in Onalaska and there isn't a lot of homes available at this time. I'm sure many people are aware of the housing market. And I can respect the fact that people have lived next to an area that has been vacant for decades. You have the appearance of a park, but it's not a park. It is land that has had the opportunity that just has not yet gone forward for future development. I would like to remind the Plan Commission that if the R3 zoning is denied tonight, no applicant could come forward for a year to reapply for the same zoning designation. So someone could not come if this were to fail in 2 months or 3 months or 10 months, you could not propose another new development. An individual would have to wait an entire year to reapply. So if this were to fail, they couldn't apply for the R4 either until a year past that date in April when it was originally denied. So I just want to make you aware of that as well. It's part of our zoning ordinance. So we are looking for density in our community. We are trying to find ways to blend it in. That was the intent of this R3 district. There would have the ability, if they requested, to divide it into 2 parcels because they meet all of the lot dimensions and lot sizes of having 2 R3 parcels by breaking this one in half. That would be legal, that would be conforming. So ultimately, it's up to the Plan Commission, but just to be aware that while the public has their opportunity to make comments about the area where they live and the community where they live, it's also the property owner and what they would like to see. It is important that it has to conform to the comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan is a vision for our community. It's what we want to see. And many references were made tonight about the comprehensive plan, calling out the need for housing, the need for increased density. So there's many sides of the coin for which way you want to look at it. I believe the developer made a great effort from his first plan to the plan before you this evening. I believe that he took a lot of the concerns into account. There were a lot of concerns originally about the trees that would be removed. Based on this plan, they're attempting to save more of those trees. There was concerns about land eroding away because how close the developer was to a rear yard setback. At some points it was 16 feet and now they're looking at 25, trying to get it to 30, which is what we want for a rear yard setback. So there have been concessions made. So those are just a summary of things that staff have seen from the initial development to what is before you this evening.
Thank you, Katie. Are there any other further comments from the Plan Commission? If there's no further discussion, we'll now vote on the motion. We'll proceed with the roll call vote. When your name is called, please respond with a yes, no, or abstain.
We restate the motion.
Yes, please. Thank you. The motion on the floor is to deny, and that's important for us to know. And a yes vote is a yes to deny, is to deny the rezoning application to rezone a parcel of land from low medium density R2 to medium density R3 to accommodate a new multi-family row house development located at 1030 Fairfield, tax parcel 18-1042-110. Again, the motion is to deny. Jan,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Jared?
No.
I vote no as well. There are 3 yeses. The motion to deny carries. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is public hearing for annexation petition to annex 16.7 acres, 41 lots from the town of Onalaska location in the vacant portion of Heritage Hills subdivision. Thank you, everybody. These are tax parcels 10-1021-15. Katie, if I can, 15 through 27.
I would just refer to the parcels as listed on the agenda title.
Wonderful. The parcels as listed on the agenda. And with that, I'll turn it over to City Planner Katie Aspenson.
Thank you. Before you this evening is a development, an annexation development where the applicant intends to annex 37 vacant parcels as well as portions of 4 parcels, a total of 16.7 acres of land. There is vacant land again, and as well as undeveloped roadways, which is the remaining balance of the Heritage Hills subdivision in the town of Onalaska. The city is directly adjacent to the east and south of the subject parcels, and access would be obtained from a road connecting to Abbey Road. The applicant has requested R2 low medium density residential as the incoming zoning district for future single family and 2-family housing options. Additional future rezonings are anticipated to request for limited multifamily housing opportunities. The city should approve proposals for annexation into the city if the area has access to or can easily be connected to areas served by the city, allowing for efficient delivery of services, facilities, and utilities and increased tax base and benefit. It is anticipated that the next steps for this project would be to file to re-subdivide the land and roadways into a new configuration once annexed into the city. As a public hearing will be held, Plan Commission should consider public input prior to acting on the requested annexation petition. City staff have put 12 conditions of approval together for this development. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. What is the pleasure of the board?
Public hearing.
Oh my gosh. All right, public hearing. Thank you. At this time, if anybody would like to make comments in favor of the annexation petition, please step forward. Thank you, sir. Please state your name and where you live.
Terry Wyland, 2221 Abbey Road in Onalaska. I've worked with Leroy Holly for quite some time to acquire this property. It's actually been plotted for a very long time with the town of Onalaska. As current things go now, I'd like to bring it into the city of Onalaska instead of the town. That way we would have the water and sewer services available to this. I'm gonna be, I see there's quite a few people behind me probably gonna speak about the project. And right now it's a several step project. I believe this is the first one, which is annexation. I do have some preliminary drawings on what I propose to do with it. Nothing has been finalized. But I would hope that the city of Onalaska would welcome this area into their city.
Thank you, Mr. Wyland. Would anyone else like to speak in favor of the annexation petition? Second call? Third call? Okay, would anyone like to speak in opposition to the annexation petition? Second call? And third call? Seeing none, I hereby close the public hearing section of the agenda item tonight. What is the pleasure of the board?
Make a motion to approve the annexation petition to annex 16.7 acres i.e. 41 lots from the town of Onalaska location in the vacant portion of Heritage Hills subdivision as per the Public Commission agenda, September 23rd, 2025.
I'll second.
With the 12 conditions.
With the 12 conditions, correct.
Second.
Motion by Jim, seconded by Tom. Is there discussion?
I have a question.
Jim?
A while back, we had a agreement with the town of Onalaska as to what we would annex and wouldn't annex. Does this have anything to do with that agreement that we had with the town?
The town of Onalaska, Village of Holman, and City of Onalaska entered into a boundary agreement in 2016. It is still in effect. And the city has the ability to annex land if it is unanimous ownership. So all of the parcels that are before you are owned by the landowner, the sole owner of all of them, and they are all unanimously in approval. So we would be in conformance with the boundary agreement on file.
Thank you.
Jared?
Yeah, just from an annexation standpoint, one of the things with the annexation we always look at from staff standpoint is how can we serve this development, whether it's, as we stated earlier tonight, we had the Johnson Estates development relatively easy. The utilities and street were already stubbed in, so that was fairly easy. But we did look at this development when Abbey Road was put in, extended about almost 10 years ago now. And then when Mr. Weiland developed, we did secure right away to access this parcel from Abbey Road. We would propose to have a street connection from my standpoint of looking at the street connection. We would have a street connection from Abbey Road. We would have public utilities come up through that area to serve this development. Probably loop the water main back into the apartment complex. So we'd have a looped water system. The sewer is fairly deep out on Abbey Road. It's about 25 feet deep. So we should be able to serve most of these lots of gravity service. Obviously, we don't have details yet. The developer's not come forward, but we'll be looking at through the preliminary plat process of all things, water, sewer, drainage, storm sewer, things like that. So there'll be a lot more work to do by the developer, but I think it's serviceable by the city.
Thank you, Jared. Katie?
I would also like to note that the preliminary plat and final plat are the next two steps likely the developer would need to follow, as well as vacating and discontinuing streets as needed. The preliminary plat will have another public hearing notice. So when we do have available for public consumption, the proposed layout of all of those lots, we will be notifying all the neighbors such as we did tonight for the annexation petition, and that can be shared accordingly. So how the lots will lay out, what the intention is, if certain ones are meant to be single family as opposed to two family, if that information is available, it can be shared.
Thank you, Katie. Are there any questions or comments from the Plan Commission? If there's no further discussion, we'll vote on the motion on the floor by Jim, seconded by Tom, to approve the annexation petition to annex 16.7 acres for the lots listed in Agenda Item 5 with the 12 conditions also listed in Agenda Item 5. Those in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes. Those in opposition, say no. The motion carries. Now move to Agenda Item 6, vacation and discontinuance request for Johns Court located in the city of Onalaska, applicants Cheryl and Todd Dietrich. At this time, I'll open the floor for public comment.
No public hearing.
No public hearing. There will be no public hearing. I would turn it over to Katie, please, for comment.
The city began the process to consider the vacation and discontinuance of Johns Court to transfer the public right-of-way to the adjacent property owners in entirety. On August 12th of 2025, the Common Council approved preliminary resolution 17-2025 to vacate and discontinue Johns Court. A public hearing has been scheduled for the consideration of the proposed vacation request on October 14th at 7 p.m. during the Common Council meeting. Included in the agenda is the applicant's letter, as well as the proposed vacations and discontinuance and the legal description. There are 5 conditions of a development tied. There are 5 There are 5 conditions of approval tied to this development. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie.
I'll make a motion to vacate and discontinue John's Court with the 5 conditions as listed.
Second.
A motion by Jared and seconded by Jim to approve the vacation and discontinuance request for John's Court. Are there any questions or discussion from the board?
Just as a note, this was platted as part of the original Oak Park subdivision that was annexed into the city in the early 90s. And the area that this street would serve is currently a very large stormwater detention area that has no chance of ever getting developed. So the street is not needed.
Thank you, Jared. Are there any other comments from the Plan Commission? Seeing none, we'll proceed with the vote on the motion, which is from Jared and seconded by Jim to approve the vacation and discontinuance request for John's Court located in the city of Onalaska with the 5 conditions as outlined in agenda item 6. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those in opposition say nay. The motion carries. I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Tom to adjourn, seconded by Jim. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those in opposition say nay. The motion carries. We are adjourned
At 7:22 PM.
at 7:22 PM.
John, you there?